So as you all remember, when you're walking in the light and trying to stay grounded, you're taught to question patterns, not panic. To observe carefully, not jump to conclusions. Because sometimes, the most unsettling stories aren't about superstition or fear. They're about repetition. And today we're talking about a story that has people raising eyebrows once again. The so-called Jake Paul curse. Brought back into the spotlight after a recent and very real incident involving Anthony Joshua. Before we go any further, let me be clear. This video is not about spreading fear, misinformation, or accusing anyone of wrongdoing. This is about examining public events, public speculation, and the conversations that naturally follow when patterns appear. If you believe in discernment, awareness, and separating fact from exaggeration, make sure you subscribe and join the conversation. Now let's talk about what happened. Recently, reports confirmed that Anthony Joshua was involved in a serious car accident. According to official sources, Joshua was driving when a collision occurred that tragically resulted in a fatality, with authorities later charging another driver involved. While Joshua himself survived, the incident shook fans worldwide. Any situation involving loss of life is heavy, sobering, and deserves respect. Not sensationalism. But as soon as the news broke, social media did what it always does. People started connecting dots. Because Anthony Joshua has one thing in common with several other high-profile figures who've faced strange or unfortunate events in recent years, he defeated Jake Paul. And that's where the so-called Jake Paul curse theory resurfaced. Over time, fans have noticed a bizarre pattern. Fighters who step into the ring with Jake Paul, especially those who beat him or hand him losses, often go on to face unexpected setbacks. Injuries, career derailments, personal controversies, legal trouble, and now, in Joshua's case, a serious accident. Not immediately, but soon enough for observers to start drawing connections. Again, no accusations. No claims of causation, just observation. For example, Tyron Woodley's trajectory changed dramatically after his bouts with Paul. The former UFC champion, who had once been at the peak of his career, faced injuries and a series of career challenges that made it hard to regain momentum. Ben Askren, another high-profile fighter who faced Paul, struggled with long-term health consequences following his own fights. Even Nate Diaz, who has been in the combat sports spotlight for years, has commented on the chaos and unusual attention surrounding Paul-era matchups. Each of these instances is unique, but together they form a story that fans find hard to ignore. And now Anthony Joshua's accident has poured new fuel on that narrative. It's not just that it happened, it's the timing. Joshua was already under intense scrutiny, juggling career expectations, sponsorship pressures, and public attention on and off the ring. When a tragic accident occurred, social media quickly looked for patterns to explain the unpredictable. Fans are naturally drawn to narratives. Humans are wired to notice repetition and assign meaning to events, especially when they involve figures as high-profile as Joshua. It's also important to consider the psychological dimension. High-level athletes operate under extreme pressure. They maintain rigorous training schedules, endure physical strain, and face constant public judgment. Even minor incidents can ripple outward, influencing mental health, confidence, and focus. Joshua's accident isn't just a physical event. It's a shock that resonates through his personal life, career planning, and mental state. And when the public links it, rightly or wrongly, to someone like Jake Paul, the conversation takes on layers beyond the immediate facts. Jake Paul himself has cultivated an aura that feeds this fascination. He markets himself as a disruptor, a controversial figure, and a provocateur who thrives on the unexpected. Whether intentionally or not, he has built a brand that amplifies perception. Wins, losses, and incidents involving his opponents gain an almost mythological weight because of the persona he presents. Fans aren't just watching fights, they're watching a narrative unfold, one that often blurs the line between entertainment, superstition, and reality. And yet, grounding matters. There's no evidence that Jake Paul has ever caused harm outside the ring. There's no proof of curses, manipulation, or deliberate influence over other fighters' lives. Life is unpredictable, accidents happen, and tragedy does not discriminate. Joshua's situation is being investigated through proper legal channels. The driver responsible has been charged, and the authorities are conducting a formal review. The facts matter, and they are what will guide justice, not internet speculation. Still, the power of narrative is undeniable. Once a pattern is noticed, online communities amplify it. Memes, social posts, and videos link events together, creating a folklore that spreads faster than verified information. Anthony Joshua's accident, coupled with his past match against Paul, fits neatly into a pre-existing story that has already captivated social media users. This is the modern reality of celebrity and sports. Observation and speculation often evolve faster than reporting. There's also the emotional dimension. Fans are human, and they respond to fear, surprise, and the unusual with stories that give them a sense of understanding. The curse narrative may be a symbolic way to process real anxiety about accidents, career risks, or the fragility of life. It allows people to see a pattern in events that otherwise seem random. And while it can feel compelling, it is critical to balance curiosity with discernment, to recognize where narrative ends and fact begins. Another layer to consider is the ripple effect of fame and exposure. Fighters like Joshua don't just compete physically, they exist under constant scrutiny. Their decisions, mistakes, and misfortunes are magnified exponentially. A single accident becomes a global story. When paired with the mythology of a curse, the stakes feel higher than the event itself. But the reality is grounded in human vulnerability, environmental hazards, and the pressures of elite sports. What's striking is that this story doesn't only involve Joshua, it's a reflection of modern sports culture and media consumption. Jake Paul, willingly or not, has become a symbol in these narratives. His reputation, amplified by social media and public perception, turns normal career developments into what some interpret as mystical patterns. Yet at the core, Joshua's accident is an intersection of circumstance, human error, and unfortunate timing, elements that have always existed in life long before the internet amplified them. And while it's tempting to sensationalize or ascribe causation to a single individual, it's worth reflecting on the lessons here: resilience, caution, and respect. Anthony Joshua's recovery, both physically and mentally, will define his path forward. The conversation about curses is interesting from a cultural perspective, but it shouldn't overshadow the seriousness of the incident, the human consequences, and the need for accountability in real-world events. So the question isn't, is Jake Paul a curse? The question is, why are we so eager to believe one exists? Is it entertainment, pattern recognition, or discomfort with randomness? Let me know what you think in the comments. Do you believe the Jake Paul curse is just internet myth-making? Or do repeated coincidences naturally invite deeper questions? Subscribe if you want more grounded breakdowns like this, where we separate speculation from fact, emotion from evidence, and chaos from clarity. Stay aware, stay human, and we'll talk again soon.